Episode 68 of Reincarnated as Slime, 10 out of 10, and yes, it's because Luminous is here. Luminous has finally showed up. I was complaining about in the previous episode, where's Luminous? She was invited, why is she not here? She's probably going to show up disguised, and sure enough, she's disguised, and it's in a maid outfit. So we get Luminous in a maid outfit. It was absolutely perfection. Anyways, jokes aside, yes, I was really happy to see Luminous in this episode, but honestly, this episode was really good. Yes, more meetings, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. We're getting into magicals. We're going to get into the soul. We're getting the idea of magicals being in everything, how it's affecting the otherworlders, and all this other stuff that's all mixed in here. It was a really, really good episode. I think the only part of the episode I didn't like was the end, because it just really felt like a nothing. Like, we're sitting here debating about the downfall of the entire nation because currencies. Currencies. It's like they're in a new nation. Of course they're not going to have an established currency. Just give them gold and send them on their way. If they complain about it, just say that we're a newly established kingdom. Of course we're not going to have currency exchange yet. And even still then, yes, you have Dworkin is literally in the nation. He knows him. He's buddies with him. Just ask him to, hey, can you give us a bunch of currency so we can cover this whole thing right now and we'll get you back. Take this stuff with some additional currency along with it just to pay for the exchange and get the coin. Like, this is a nothing. This is a nothing. Why are we making such a big deal of this? But no, let's get in the episode proper with, yes, opening up with Mama Hinata. Yes, we have a Mama Hinata moment. We have our first baby moment with Rimuru, the father, Hinata, the mother, and their children. We know what they're going for here. But yes, a really cute little moment there. Mainly because these children, again, they love Shizue. And yes, right here we have Hinata, who was one of the apprentices of Shizue. And yes, the fact that they technically see Shizue in her. It was really a little cute moment there. And yes, some little fun there with the fact that the kid's like, this old lady, and she gets all mad. This old lady matched you? No way. This leading into the whole concert, which, yes, another kind of neat little statement there of the idea of sort of everything coming together, the harmony of the humans and the monsters coming together to make something beautiful. Again, it's kind of similar to what, I mean, this all seems like it's all Shuna. Like, Shuna's like orchestrating all this stuff, with like just completely pounding into these people's head the idea of harmony and the idea of art and how it kind of transcends these boundaries that people place up. The fact that no matter who you are, you're going to understand art. No matter what your languages are, in the end, music is still music. It was a really cool little message there. Then we have the technology presentation, which, again, this is where the lore stuff starts to kind of creep up, which I think they've pretty much at this point hinted at several times, the idea of magicals sort of being in everything. This idea of magicals not really just being in human life, it's in the environment, it's in the surroundings. Everything has these magicals, and that's what they were essentially trying to build with the barriers and stuff, is just drawing all these magicals in. I will say that there's a question mark I have here, and this might be something they actually get into, is the idea that if magicals are literally in everything, and they're even implying, again, it being in swords themselves, this idea, the concept that they've been sort of hinting at is the idea that weapons themselves could have some sort of soul within it, and that, yes, that is comprised of magicals, and the magicals itself can be healed. It does sort of make me wonder if at some point they'll get into the idea of if you draw too much magicals of the surroundings, you might kill things around. Yes, things that maybe not have as much of a density of magicals that possibly it could kill it. But they sort of imply the idea that these plants, well, you had a herb and you had a weed, have a different amount of magicals in it. It's not necessarily that there's different magicals in it. Thus, yes, a weed is the same thing as this herb. It's just how much, what the environment it's in. But again, that can imply the idea of what if you could draw what remaining magicals are in the weed out of it and essentially kill it. It sort of does kind of imply this idea that it's sort of a balance of life. The idea that you don't want too much magicals because then you have, monsters and whatnot, appearing and destroying everything, but you need some of it to keep things from dying. It's an interesting little concept there. Now, the question mark I have is really how that applies to souls, because they did imply the idea that souls are like this combination of magicals and whatnot all mixed together to create the concept of soul, a collection of spiritrons that make up magicals that makes the difference. So it is technically saying there's something else there, which is the spiritrons. So it's not just the magicals itself that makes up the soul itself, and that basically creates the soul. But it's still kind of giving the idea that there's this root here and eventually leads to this. So what is the difference? That's really the question mark they're creating. What is the difference? This idea that why would you even look into this, because that shouldn't be a thing. And I do like that kind of bringing up that concept of, well, why'd you research this? Well, because I wanted this answer. I seen this. I observed the dryads, and they are essentially plants that became a greater thing Why can't that be the same for everything else? And then we look into the plants. The plants are the same way. So why not a sword? Again, it's a cool little thing to kind of show that root of their research and how it kind of built into something else. It's kind of a simple concept, but at the same time, it's a cool concept that nobody else would think of. And it makes sense because, again, most of these people are in areas that have low densities of magicals. You're going to basically have a lot of researchers coming to Tempest now because they want to research this now. They never researched it because, one, they assumed the status quo, but two, there's not that much to really utilize to research it. Or they were just afraid to go to the Great Forest. It was kind of funny, though, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is like a really crazy thing. Why would you not announce this at a bigger venue? Why would you announce it here at a festival? It's like, it is almost a flex moment. I would say that I was thinking that we were going to use it as a flex moment. Like, yeah, we're researching all this stuff, and here's this amazing discovery. We don't care if we tell you because we got all this other stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg, I guess is really the way of putting it. Anyhow, that all leads into the most important part of the episode, which is the meeting with Luminous. Again, Luminous in a maid outfit. She's totally owning it. She loved it. Hinata said something to the fact that she was so excited to come there. She actually went out and got a maid outfit, and she was really excited. It's like, yeah, she's so happy to be in a maid outfit, which is technically what we seen her in when we first met her, because again, she was disguised as one of like a servant or whatever, so she wasn't supposed to be brought out as the Demon Lord, so she probably just got it out of the closet. Now, what was interesting in this little scene, because yes, this is Luminous getting mad because you're fraternizing with all these people. The peace treaty was just to be a peace treaty. You're not supposed to actually intermingle with them. And he's like, no, I think that's perfectly fine. She was just jealous because she didn't. She was just jealous because she wasn't getting intermingled with. And he's like, no, I want your wheat. Your wheat is really good. Let's do trade. Okay, well, I want to send you researchers, and I want to repay you for that. So here, have the secret of faith and grace. Have an ability, secret of faith and grace. Now, this is interesting because I honestly, and this might be one of those things where a lot of people already knew this, or maybe I just completely missed it and I'm dumb. I admit I'm dumb. I probably get a lot of things wrong in my impressions. It's because, one, the series has been going on for so long. I'm not like super ingrained into it, rewatching it, whatnot. I don't have a photographic memory. I never realized that Rimurdu's stuff his abilities are classified as holy. Because the moment that she gives him Secret of Faith and Grace, the ability itself is that he's able to share a portion of his power to those that believe in him. Now, it's sort of implied that Rimurdu has done this already. Yes, technically, when he named everybody, he gave them a portion of his mana, and that allowed them to grow. But I guess it's sort of implying here that he's never shared it with them since then, which doesn't really make any sense because when he became a Demon Lord, what happened? A lot of people, their abilities evolved. So it's sort of implied already that he's been actively sharing some of his power with at least his believers. But this is sort of saying that no, that's a different thing, and they've been growing on their own. Shion has been getting stronger because she is training herself. She took that initial amount of power from him, and yes, seemingly evolved when he evolved, but that's it. Everything else is by her own growth. Now, the thing that threw me off was that he says that now he'll be able to share with his followers the use of holy magic. I never knew that he was classified as holy magic. It's one of those things where, yes, it makes sense because, yes, he calls the great sage Raphael. That's an archangel. So the assumption there was that this archangel, this Raphael, this sage, is granting him abilities and skills, and thus those things would be classified as holy. I just don't think I ever really connected the two of them, that he's literally using holy. For some reason, I always felt like the first introduction of holy magic was Luminous. Again, something that kind of threw me off, the idea of a demon lord using holy magic. Anyhow, that's super cool. I'm sure that'll eventually probably be used at some point when crap hits the fan and he needs to power up his followers. They can get super strong at that point. But no, the last little thing they kind of threw in here out of nowhere was Luminous saying there's 2 individuals in the area that have ominous auras. And yes, obviously, immediately, the thing that popped in my mind was Maribel. They showed Maribel again in this episode. She's at a stall and Rimurdu is walking by. So I can assume right there, Rimurdu probably noticed her, or he probably noticed her back at the party. Question I have is, who's the other? Is Granville there? I don't think so. We haven't seen Granville anywhere. We've just seen Maribel. But anyhow, I assume that one of the aura is going to be Maribel. If, again, she's there to do something malicious. She could, again, be there to want to do something malicious, but then she gets caught up in the festival and then she starts to like Rimurdu. That could technically happen. But my assumption here is that she's there for no good. There's been too much buildup of this girl that she's going to suddenly go, oh, I like Rimurdu now. So the question mark really is, who's the other one? That's the massive question mark. Now, I don't think it'll be Yuki, because again, Rimurdu has for the longest time been trusting Yuki, and it seems like right here, Rimurdu is acknowledging what Luminous said. Luminous says there's 2 people with ominous auras. Be careful. He's like, yes. He didn't say, wait, who? Where were they? No, he knows. It seems to imply that Rimuru immediately goes, yes, I've seen them too. So I don't think it's Yuki, because he's never implied that he's noticed that Yuki is a threat. So then I question, who else? Who else that they've shown so far would be a threat? The only ones that I can really point out they've shown so far, because there could be still some people that are still going to show up in the show itself, like, oh yeah, that person's here too. The only people I can think of right now that have shown up is Almesia, and she might be referencing Masayuki. I don't think it's going to be Masayuki because it hasn't shown him having some sort of desire to attack Rimuru. But it could be. It could be. He could be seeing something there. So my conclusion is going to be it's probably going to be Maribel, Granville if he's there, but if not, then maybe Almesia. But again, even Almesia seems to be there on the hopes of doing business, not there on the hopes of attacking. Unless, again, her whole activation of that aura in order to stun Rimuru is a threat there. Like, she wants to not take down Rimuru, but really take control, seize control of what Rimuru has. Again, I don't think that's going to be the case. It's probably going to be somebody else. Somebody else is there that we don't know about yet, along with Maribel. Anyhow, cool stuff. Again, love seeing Luminous there. She's just gorgeous. I absolutely love her character design. She's got a great demeanor there. Goofy enough to come there in a maid outfit. It's good stuff. Following this, we have Yuki and Hinata and Rimuru talking. Again, them kind of mentioning the fact that, why the hell did you bring that research out there? And he's like, well, I didn't even know they were doing it. He's like, wait, you don't know what they're doing? Yeah, I'm letting them have their individuality. But yeah, I kind of feel like I probably should have known about that. But no, they were talking a little bit about how magicals itself kind of infects them. You know, obviously Hinata pointing out, which I think was a bad move. Again, similar to Rimuru, Hinata does not know that Yuki is doing crazy stuff in the background. But Hinata essentially sharing with Yuki what's going on with her. The fact that she can't use potions because her body breaks down the magicals, that there's some spells that even don't work on her, all while whispering to Yuki, who's just kind of probably thinking, oh, thanks for letting me know that. But then pointing out the fact that it doesn't seem like the magicals have affected Yuki's body either. Yuki mentioned the fact that the magicals haven't really had much of an effect on him, which I'm curious what that has to do with anything, what he's sort of implying there. But yes, the obvious thing here is that it seems like when they came to that world, that's when the effects of the magicals were sort of placed upon them. Now, it's interesting that they're kind of implying here specifically a correlation with the idea that they're not aging. The idea that they went straight from talking about how the magicals affect them when they came to the world and that their bodies have not matured physically anymore. Kind of makes me wonder that if they do find a way of pulling out those magicals, they might start aging or possibly using that idea to possibly prevent people from aging anymore. The idea of maybe imbuing people with magicals in some way to prevent aging. And yes, that technically opens the door to the idea of even evolving people even more to be similar to the otherworlders. Either way, again, more interesting little conversations there. So we'll see where the research in magicals go in the future. And that leads into, yes, the rest of the episode, which I really didn't care about. The fact that, yes, there's a bunch of merchants. It seems like who Guard was talking about with these people that he didn't recognize are specifically small-time vendors. So I still think it's a possibility it could be the other merchants, but it seems like it's trying to wipe its hands of here and say, no, it's just people that he didn't recognize because they're small-timers. But this all seems to be some big master plan by the council to try to discredit Tempest, which, like I said before, this really does seem like a nothing thing, which I guess to the credit of Rimuru is sort of pointed out there at the very end, like, you know, hey, Guard, you're stressing too much. Let's go out, have fun. This isn't a big deal. It almost felt like Rimuru saying, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. We have 2 days to figure it out. Go have fun. You're working too hard. And yeah, it does seem like that. Guard is kind of being shown as an example right now, similar to what Rimuru has gone through in the past, the idea of being overworked. They kind of did the same thing with Geld, how Rimuru was sort of relating to Geld, the idea of working too hard. So it seems like they're doing that here. But I was impressed how much Xion was like, okay, well, why don't you do this? Like, Xion's just kind of laying out stuff, being actually very smart about it. He kind of throws Rimuru off, and then eventually she's like, let's just destroy him. She's like, nope, it's still Xion. But yes, the idea here is that they can't use the currency from Clayman. They can't use the currencies from Falmouth. And so they have to have a coin from Dwargen. It all seems to wrap up the idea of, you know, play by our rules, but not pushing back too much. Offering them gold with an increased amount. Guard not really liking that because they'll think they can take advantage of Tempest. It doesn't really make sense what Rimuru came to decision of. I think he's literally just saying, let's do gold, and if they think they can take advantage of us, they'll find out that's wrong later on. That seems to be what the decision they come to. Again, it seems like a nothing. This whole little, like, last scene seems like a nothing. Anyhow, good episode, like I said. Besides the very last scene, I think this was a fantastic episode. Some really good looks into the magicals. Again, Luminous showing back up. Some cute little scenes there. Hinata being mommy. All that kind of stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff in this episode. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to finally the tournament arc. We're finally getting to the tournament arc, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know it's the episode. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. If you like this content, you want to support channel more, I links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. It does. Until next time, y'all take care.